Hey everybody, so man, the routing is complete. That was a lot more work. I honestly, when I started the thing, I thought it was gonna be one session or two sessions, and like I can't tell exactly. Already got tabbing routing. Yeah, so that was video 23, and we were on video 31. So this is video 32. So that's 8 sessions instead of 2 sessions, and that's incredible. And honestly, I think it was good. It was actually router link versus href router sets up components, routing 16. Actually, it was video 16 that I started routing. So it acts 15. Like I've done 32 videos, and half of them are dedicated to routing. Um, and I wouldn't change a thing because honestly, the truth is, routing is so important to most companies, most products. I've seen routing literally be the killer, the death pill for applications where they'd gotten past like the proof of concept, they got the MVP working, and then they were like aggressively working on like sort of the next iteration of make it nice, and somebody says, I want a link that takes me to some deeply embedded thing, and it's like, well, we can't. Okay, fine, we'll set up routing, and then you find out that no, you're collecting so much data and everything as people navigate through that you can't actually even get routing working. Like once you it's kind of like having private variables kind of um, enforce um, you making sure that everything is sort of pure, that's calling into like a service. If you have a bunch of private variables, it kind of forces you to be disciplined. Routing in setting up routing early in the process, it has a similar effect. It forces that all your pages can kind of like based on what's in the URL can render. um, and I've seen people do like sort of the logical argument, well, like if I can click through, then obviously I can make a route to it. And it's like you can make it to where that's impossible to do. Um, but anyway, so that is me doing my normal preachy, being my normal preachy middle aged old dude self. So that's that. So really, all that's left, and this is probably like literally, I cannot even tell you. Like I probably literally went 15 years of shooting myself in the foot at this point, and I see young developers constantly shooting themselves in the foot at this part, which should be like the most relaxing, pleasant point, and you just kind of you get yourself all the way, you have everything working, and you just blow it at commit time. um, so now I have 8 commits. I mean, I have 8 files right here that are changed, and I need to go through each file and make sure there's nothing dumb in it and make sure everything makes sense, at least at a high level. I'm very comfortable with how everything works, but I need to make sure that everything works at a high level. And honestly, if at all possible, like let's say, you're working on a sprint and it's Monday and everything has to be on Wednesday, give yourself the night before you do this so that you could take a fresh look at it. Don't try to commit it right before the end of work. It's like it's 4:30 on Monday, and you have everything working, and you want to commit everything so that tomorrow and stand up, you can be like, I got my thing done, and blah blah blah. Blah. No, wait, give yourself the night, and then wait the next day and commit your stuff. All right. So do I want this? I think I do. This is basically sort of calculates me creating my. I mean, not calculates, but documents how I created the API component, how I created the navigation service component, and how I created the interface as well. I think it makes a lot of sense in this specific project where, you know, there probably won't be many more of these. Like my other project, I had to just only save like the last one, so I have it as a reference, but there would be hundreds of them. And in your typical professional environment, you can't really leave all these in the package because there'll just be hundreds of these little commands. So but I'm leaving it in this one because this one shouldn't get too big. See, component. I think all of this makes sense. I think getting rid of that makes sense. Getting rid of that makes sense. And I'm glad that it works without that. I was wondering if the router outlet was like sort of a necessary thing. It doesn't look like it, and it looks like I got everything working without the router outlet doing anything. So that's good. Um, so we're changing. I don't even think this is necessary. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, well, actually, padding of A's. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if this is necessary. It should be very obvious if it's necessary or not. So, but it looks like I had that before. So let's see. Oh, I hit Control Z. Control A. That selects everything. Delete. Save. And let's see how things look. Looking good. All right, so we do not want that. I don't even remember. I think that was for those little links that we had down there. So we don't need that. Um, okay, so we brought our discrete component back in. So that was good. And I think I don't see anything. Do we need? Yeah, I think we do need this one. I don't. Do we? Do we need the URL as a? This isn't going to be quite as easy to figure out. I think let's just see if we use URL. Okay, so the only thing we use the URL for is so we can show this thing that I want to get rid of. So let's go ahead and get rid of it. That actually slipped through, so I'm glad that happened. Let's just make sure that doesn't break anything, make sure everything still works. You never know. Reload. Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful. Now, I don't think we need this variable anymore. And I think it makes sense to say const URL const URL that's so weird. Equals URL. URL gets passed in, right? I guess maybe I need to declare it a router type here. Router values type. Oh, we already have something named URL. Oh, okay, so that is probably going to be weird. URL. I'm just going to call it URL link, and then is equal to URL as. I don't really like looking at it in this view. And then, yeah. And this is probably like the kind of thing that you can screw up pretty easily. I don't know if you can say, yeah, I don't think you can say as. Or, let's not complain about that. Let's see. Yeah, you can't do that. Crazy. As known as. So crazy. So this is kind of like, I don't know. This is silly that you have to do something like this, but I don't know if there's a better way. It's just sort of the reality. So let's just make sure that all works still. Okay, so I believe that's this, right? So then API and reload. Okay, yeah. So you always really want to check stuff like that, even though I can't imagine why that would break in a million years. You still need to check it. because I've definitely seen weirder stuff break. Okay, so we're removing everything from there. Here, I feel like a lot better about this. Um, I do think I do want this React to URL change here. I think that is a useful comment. Um, something I would like to have. In the future. Oh, oh my gosh. Let's see, now we're back. We're back to this again. Do I want the... It's funny that this isn't... Oh, capital. There we go. All right, so that's good. This URL as unknown. It's unfortunate that we have to do that, but it's the best I can think of. Routes continuous, a spelling typo fix. We added these new in. We have our one line at the end. And that was unit tests. It's amazing how emotional people get over unit tests. It's just like, I don't know. People really get excited about unit tests. So I think all of these look good. So it's a commit. I probably should not associate it with the video. I guess I should. Video. I guess I'll associate it with this video. Typically, I'm associating it with the last one, but I actually made changes for this in this video. So I don't know. Talk about something that does not matter. Get status. Get status. There we go. Kind of take a quick glance in here. Just make sure there's nothing weird. Package. This is the point where I like I know this person who was working on like a story for like 3 months, 3 whole months, and then like everything was like the deadline was coming, and everybody was like, "This needs to get done." Like, dude, this has to get done. You've got to get this done, right? And then like they did it. They made their commit. It was all working perfectly, but they had some weird little extra file in there that um, like at one moment at some point they kind of had it as a backup in there, and for some reason like it wasn't a problem. It's not a problem when you try to run it locally, but then like when it tried to get through like the build the build process of the um what is it like the Azure um DevOps process, it was causing like all these very, very poorly worded errors. And like it ended up really hosing this guy. And it's just like that literally all could have been taken. Like if he'd have just done one little 10-second look at the files and been like, oh yeah, I don't want that file in this commit, he would have been good. But he didn't. And then even like when he set up the PR, he could take another quick look at just the file list. So it's really important at this point. You can really shoot yourself in the foot, and it happens to everybody. Like that is such a common thing to happen. So like I just cannot express enough how just taking 10 seconds just to look over the file list and make sure that every single file makes sense can just save you hours, you and your boss and everybody else, hours and hours and hours of trying to figure out something weird. Anyways, git commit -m finishes routing. Git status. So yeah. So now we have routing. All I can say is the next time I have to do routing, I'm definitely gonna feel like that little dread that you get in your stomach when you know like you're gonna have to do something that's like super complicated, or not super complicated, but super like where you just are not 100% sure what's gonna happen. Certain things like that, like regex is like that for me. There's a lot of things that are kind of like every time I have to do them, I get like this pit in my stomach. And routing is definitely, I'm glad it's behind me, and I'm glad I learned a lot. I definitely don't feel like I'm an expert. I definitely felt like I knew more about routing before I started this whole process, and I probably literally know 10 times as much about it now, and I feel like I only know like half as much, or I only know like uh, before I thought I had it completely mastered, and now I feel like I barely understand it. But I know 10 times as much, and that is so typical in software development. It's just a part of the process. Like you think you understand something, and then you learn a lot more about that thing, and then you realize how much you don't understand. It's just a reality of being a computer programmer. And happy coding. Bye.